Welcome to our channel. Today we're diving into the eerie world of solo camping with three of the most disturbing and realistic scary stories you've ever heard. So grab your flashlight and get ready to be spooked. Imagine the crackle of the campfire, the smell of pine needles, and the vast darkness of the wilderness surrounding you. It's supposed to be peaceful, a chance to reconnect with nature and escape the hustle of everyday life. But for some, the tranquility of solo camping turns into a terrifying fight for survival. These are their stories. Deep in the heart of the Appalachian Mountains, nestled amongst towering pines and shrouded in an ethereal mist, lies a place known as Whispering Pines Campground. It's a haven for nature enthusiasts, hikers, and those seeking solace in solitude. But beneath the serene beauty lies an unsettling truth, a secret whispered amongst seasoned campers. The woods, they say, have ears, and sometimes they whisper back. Our story begins with a young woman named Sarah, an avid hiker drawn to the solitude and beauty of Whispering Pines. It was supposed to be a weekend of peace and self-reflection, a chance to reconnect with nature and herself. But as the sun began to dip below the horizon, casting long, eerie shadows through the trees, a sense of unease settled upon her. It started subtly, a rustling in the undergrowth just beyond the reach of her campfire's light. She dismissed it as a small animal, her mind playing tricks on her in the fading light. But as the night deepened and the forest around her grew quiet, the rustling returned. It was closer this time, accompanied by the distinct sound of footsteps crunching on dry leaves. Heart pounding, Sarah grabbed her flashlight, its beam cutting through the darkness, searching for the source of the noise. But there was nothing there, just the endless rows of trees, their branches swaying ominously in the night breeze. Convincing herself it was just her imagination, she returned to her tent, the zipper closing with a reassuring hiss that did little to calm her racing heart. As she lay there, cocooned in her sleeping bag, she heard it again. This time there was no mistaking it. It was a voice, low and guttural, whispering her name, Sarah. The voice seemed to come from everywhere and nowhere at once. Weaving through the trees, slithering around her tent, terror gripped her, her breath catching in her throat. She lay there, paralyzed with fear as the whispering continued, growing louder, more insistent. Sarah, we see you. She fumbled for her flashlight, her hands shaking so badly that she could barely hold it steady. She shone the beam around the campsite, but the woods remained frustratingly empty. Desperate for a sense of safety, she decided to pack up her things and hike back to her car, even in the dead of night. As she stumbled through the darkness, the whispering followed, echoing all around her. "You can't hide, Sarah. We're here." The voices seemed to be closing in, their tone laced with a chilling amusement that sent shivers down her spine. She broke into a run, her backpack bouncing against her shoulders, her lungs burning with exertion. But the voices kept pace, their laughter mingling with the pounding of her own heart. She didn't know how long she ran, but just when she thought she could go no further, she burst through the tree line and into the clearing where she'd left her car. Relief washed over her as she fumbled with her keys, her hands shaking so badly that she could barely get the key in the ignition. Mark, an experienced outdoorsman, scoffed at the idea of haunted campgrounds. He believed in logic, in the tangible, in the things he could see and touch. So, armed with his trusty backpack and a healthy dose of skepticism, he set off to spend a week alone in the sprawling wilderness of Yellowstone National Park. He found the perfect spot, a secluded clearing nestled beside a gently flowing stream. The sun was setting, painting the sky in hues of orange and purple, as he pitched his tent, a small dome-shaped haven against the coming night. As darkness enveloped the forest, Mark built a fire, the crackling flames providing a comforting sense of warmth and security. He cooked his simple meal, enjoying the solitude and the symphony of sounds that filled the night air. Hours later, nestled in his sleeping bag, Mark was lulled into a restless sleep by the symphony of crickets and the distant howl of a lone wolf. But sometime in the dead of night, a strange sensation pulled him from his dreams. It was a feeling of being watched, an unsettling awareness that he was not alone. He slowly opened his eyes, his heart pounding in his chest. The fire had died down to a dull glow, casting long, dancing shadows across the interior of his tent, and that's when he saw it. A shadow, darker than the surrounding darkness, pressed against the thin fabric of his tent. It was the distinct outline of a human figure, tall and imposing, its head turned towards him as if it were peering inside. Fear, cold and paralyzing, coursed through him. He lay there, frozen, as the shadow remained motionless, its presence a heavy weight on his chest. He tried to rationalize it away, to convince himself it was just a trick of the light, a figment of his sleep-addled mind, but deep down he knew better. There was something out there, something watching him from the darkness. He fumbled for his flashlight, his hand trembling as he found it. The beam of light cut through the darkness, momentarily blinding him, and then it was gone. The shadow had vanished. Relief washed over him, but it was a fleeting sensation, quickly replaced by a gnawing unease. He knew with a certainty that chilled him to the bone that whatever was out there was still watching him. He spent the rest of the night huddled in his sleeping bag, flashlight clutched tightly in his hand, his eyes darting nervously around the confines of his tent. Sleep eluded him, every rustle of leaves, every snap of a twig, sending his heart racing. As dawn approached, painting the eastern sky with the promise of a new day, Mark finally allowed himself to breathe a sigh of relief. Chapter 3. The Vanishing Camper. The Sierra Nevada mountain range, a place of breathtaking beauty and unforgiving wilderness, was Emily's sanctuary. An experienced solo camper, she found solace in the solitude, in the challenge of testing her limits against the raw power of nature. It was during one of these solo expeditions, deep in the heart of the Sierras, that Emily vanished. She was last seen at a remote ranger station, stocking up on supplies and registering her planned route. Her itinerary, meticulously detailed in her notebook, indicated she planned to hike a challenging trail, one known for its stunning views and unpredictable weather. When Emily failed to return as scheduled, a search and rescue team was dispatched. They scoured the area following her planned route, their efforts hampered by a sudden snowstorm that blanketed the mountains in a thick layer of white. Days turned into weeks, and the hope of finding Emily alive dwindled with each passing hour. The search was eventually called off, her disappearance classified as another unsolved mystery in a wilderness known for swallowing people whole. But Emily's story didn't end there. Months later, a group of hikers stumbled upon her campsite, untouched and frozen in time, as if she had simply vanished into thin air. Her tent was still standing, her belongings neatly organized inside. Her backpack lay near the extinguished campfire, its contents undisturbed. It was as if she had stepped away for a moment and never returned. The hikers alerted the authorities, who arrived to find a scene both eerie and heartbreaking. Among Emily's belongings, they discovered a journal filled with her observations and experiences from the trail. The entries were detailed and insightful, painting a vivid picture of her journey up until the day she disappeared. The last entry, dated the day before she was due back, sent chills down the spines of the investigators. "The silence is deafening today," she wrote. "I haven't seen another soul for days. It's as if I'm completely alone out here. I could have sworn I saw someone watching me from the tree line earlier. Just a fleeting glimpse, a shadow disappearing behind a tree, but it was enough to unsettle me. The feeling hasn't gone away, like I'm being followed, watched. I know it sounds crazy, but I can't shake this feeling that something isn't right." The entry ended abruptly, the rest of the page empty, as if she had been interrupted mid-thought. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed these stories, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon for more spine-chilling content. And remember, sometimes the scariest things are the ones we can't see. Stay safe out there. Remember, these stories serve as chilling reminders that even in the beauty and serenity of nature, there can be unexpected dangers lurking in the shadows. Respect the wilderness, trust your instincts, and always be prepared for the unexpected.